Alright, it's time for the review of the big Season 2 finale, A Canterlot Wedding.
Let's get this party started! Love is in blue, a beautiful bride, a handsome groom.
Alright, now, in this story we learn that Twilight Sparkle has a brother, which really isn't woven in perfectly. There are sort of gaps that demonstrate that, yeah, they just made him up for this episode. They didn't really have him in mind, at least that far ahead of time. But regardless, she learns through a wedding invitation that her brother is getting married. And the princess, because of her personal connection to the groom, has put Twilight and her friends in charge of all different parts of the wedding. Rarity gets to make the bridesmaids' dresses, and Applejack gets to be in charge of the food, Pinkie Pie the reception, Fluttershy the singing bird choir, Rainbow Dash the big sonic rain boom to accent the I do's, so this is quite the epic couple, and Twilight gets to oversee all the preparations. And Twilight, though, is a little bit mad that her brother didn't fill her in ahead of time, but when she gets to Canterlot with all of her friends, he tells her that there's been a threat made against the city, that he, who it turns out is also captain of the Royal Guards, can only stop with a force field that only he knows how to create. So he's been working around the clock to keep all of Canterlot trapped, surrounded by this big force field bubble, and he's the one who then needs to stick around to maintain it. So he has, though, not forgotten about how important Twilight is to him, and he's arranged for her to be his best mare, which, okay, a lot of different things in Equestria that are things that we don't have here, but regardless, Twilight is overjoyed, and doubly so when she learns that he's marrying her old foal sitter, who is Princess Cadence. She's the I don't know what it takes to be a princess in the show, actually, because I mean, Celestia and Luna, they seem to be the two big rulers, but there's also Prince Blue Blood, who seems like he just kind of hangs around and does nothing, and now there's Princess Cadence, who just seems to get to wear the title for no particular reason, but regardless, though, she was the best full sitter Twilight ever had. Twilight loved her to death, even though she said that shining armor was her only friend at that age, but now, Cadence too, apparently. But anyway, though, when she actually meets Princess Cadence again, it turns out she's changed. She's not very nice to anyone. In fact, she seems to be very high on herself, very short with everyone, very rude, and very insincere. And everyone else wants to cut her a break because it's her wedding after all, and you think there are big preparations, but they're also a bit blinded by just how important a role they get to play. They see her as a big shot princess that should be cut a lot of slack because of her status, but Twilight, who has a personal investment in this, in the future of her brother, does not want to let her off the hook like that, and in fact doesn't think she should, because she's actually starting to become very worried about his future. She watches Princess Cadence oversee all of this, all of the wedding preparations, and she starts to really not like what she sees. And then finally, when she goes to talk to her brother about it, Princess Cadence interrupts, takes him into the next room to debate the outfit he's wearing, and when he disagrees with her, his headache suddenly becomes unbearable. That the headache that we established in passing that he's getting from maintaining this force field, but maybe not, because it becomes unbearable the moment he disagrees with her, and then she zaps him with a spell that makes him become cool and compliant. And she doesn't know, though, that Twilight has witnessed it from the other room, that she snuck up and started watching through the door. So then Twilight tries to get her friends to help bust the seemingly evil princess, but They now have been made her new bridesmaids when the old ones were discarded for reasons she didn't say. So now Twilight thinks she's really on her own. She attempts to bust Princess Cadance in front of everyone, just calling her out for everything she's witnessed. But it turns out that as Princess Cadance goes running off in tears, that Shining Armor does have an explanation for everything, and he is now furious with Twilight for insulting his bride. So now it seems that Twilight has really dug herself into a ditch. She's severed her relationship with her brother, who she's supposed to be very close with, and her friends now think that Twilight has, like I said, dug herself into a ditch. They're really not ready to stand behind her on this. They leave, and even her mentor, Princess Celestia, walks out on her. But just when Twilight thinks that she's made the biggest mistake of her life, Princess Cadance herself appears, and she starts seemingly comforting her. So just when you think they're going to reconnect and rise above this, it turns out that Twilight was right all along. Princess Cadance is evil and casts her down into a cave. She casts a spell that sends her down into a cave, and then in part 2, though, find out that it's not actually Princess Cadance at all. It's the real Princess Cadance is imprisoned in this cave right next to Twilight, and the one that sent them both down there is in fact an impostor, an evil queen of the changeling army, which is the army that made the threat against Canterlot, and is now the army that the queen is trying to allow into the city by taking Shining Armor under her control with these spells she keeps casting on him, and getting his force field to crumble so her army can invade, and they, the changeling, can feed on all the positive energy in Equestria. And thus the race to stop her is on. And, okay, well, this obviously is the third two-parter that we've seen, and this one sort of strikes a balance between the first two. The first one was airtight in its storytelling, for the most part. It focused on, tying everything together, tying Twilight's progression from the fastidious study bug who didn't really want to spend time around anyone else, and actually, as you know, I did catch Twilight in this episode saying that Cadance has a way of sneaking up on people. So, turns out I've been worrying about pronouns for nothing here. You can call them people. So, okay, but anyway, though, the first two-parter, Friendship is Magic, focused on airtight storytelling, turning Twilight the study bug, who didn't care about being around anyone else, into Twilight, the great friend who really valued all of these other characters, and succeeded, although some of its moments were a little lackluster. The second one, Return of Harmony, focused on these great creative moments, taking this great villain and having him spin the most dastardly plot ever, and just, all the creative visuals and spells, traps he could weave. And because of that, it wasn't so focused on the airtight storytelling. Some stuff didn't add up, but it had just some of the single best moments. This one strikes a balance. It does show you some progression, but it does have pretty good storytelling, but there are a couple of places where it doesn't add up. I mean, they didn't leave a lot of room for Shining Armor to exist, and it's like I think I've actually spotted a continuity error, so I'm proud of myself now that we saw in the Cutie Mark Chronicles episode that Twilight was not very good at magic. She could barely produce a little spark to just barely levitate things before she got her cutie mark. But we see in this flashback that she doesn't have it yet, and she's using magic well enough to lift and carry things. She's able to light up her entire horn instead of just a spark on the end of it. And also in Cutie Mark Chronicles, we saw all of her immediate family except Shining Armor. So where was he while she was having a big test? But okay, there's that. There's the fact that the battle to defeat the Queen which, while it's a great battle, it's a bit disconnected from the moment in which she's actually defeated, in which Princess Cadence manages to free Shining Armor, and they reactivate his force field and fling the changelings from the city. That has nothing to do with the big battle that Twilight and her friends embark on to go get the elements of harmony and defeat the Queen after she defeats Princess Celestia. So, I mean, it's and actually, it's a moment you think that this would be more Princess Cadence and Shining Armor's battle, the story of how they prove love overcomes all and fight to win back each other. And I mean, and in that sense, it is a nice touch that they get to defeat the Queen. But I mean, it's just a last minute gambit. But the battle we see taking place to actually defeat the Queen has nothing to do with it. So there's that, and also the moment in which the Queen is defeated. It's a better one than Discord got, but it still has some of the same problems that she just stands there thinking she can't lose and actually lets them take the time to do everything they need. And I mean, you think back to Nightmare Moon's defeat, and that was a perfect Hail Mary pass. Like, you get the payoff to everything we've seen so far, how the elements of harmony work, why they're able to activate them now. And I mean, it's right as she thinks she's won, they reveal in ways that tie into everything we've seen how they can actually seemingly snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, fire up the elements of harmony after all, and defeat her. But this, it's a nice build up, it's a nice notion. It still involves her just standing there and letting it happen. So, the Queen. Also, no Discord. I mean, who is? But she does sort of do the evil Queen role a little better than Nightmare Moon. She's suitably cocky. We see her sort of sadistic, gleeful personality a little bit more. So, okay, props to that. And but she can't pull off. Her caves that she banishes Twilight and Princess Cadence into. That's a lot of fun. Her changeling army, her changing her shape, and they all there's actually a moment where Twilight and friends, they fight the changeling army, and that's the battle, striking the balance like they do. The battle to defeat the Queen is probably the most fun battle we've seen. We actually get to see a whole giant fight with the changeling army that has some of the most creative animation the show has done. But as far as just the sheer creativity, you can't top Discord's evil maze and his his chaos world and everything. But with the airtight storytelling, it does surpass Discord's story, in my opinion, as far as sheer excitement and investment goes. Overall, this one, in a lot of ways, most of them the ways that count, is my favorite two-parter. And it's also, on that note, for getting both elements down so well, it's, I think, the only one so far in which I actually like the second episode more than the first one. All the other ones, that was Friendship is Magic Part 1, I'm like, oh, this is lots of great character moments, great setup and stuff. Yeah, bring on Part 2, which was a little, dragged a little bit more with its speeches, and its some of its battles were kind of silly. And then likewise with Discord, we get the setup to him, how he utterly curb stomps them, and the holes were already showing through there because, again, less airtight storytelling. And then in Part 2, same thing. Really, it starts to show even more that, they don't tie the battle to defeat him together very well. It doesn't, one thing doesn't play into the next as well. It's a little, and it seems a little too easy to defeat him, but this, they got it down. Part 1, in many ways, a great episode itself, is the setup portion, and Part 2 is the payoff portion, and it's overall a pretty good payoff. And like I said, there are other more specific reasons that I think it's more or less my favorite one too. They really, I think, unfold Twilight's personal arc to, as far as worrying about her brother goes, at a great pace. There's the part where she tries really doesn't play her hand very well. Kind of stupidly, she calls Princess Cadence out in front of everyone, and then it only ends up working out because she was even more right than she realized, and there's actually a blameless explanation for everything. But I mean, so yeah, we don't get quite the nuanced story about sort of the back and forth, like, well, is there something Twilight needs to let go of? It's the story of how you need to trust your instincts, and how you're always gonna be related to your brothers or sisters, and you're always gonna love each other, and when it counts, you need to look out for each other. It just entirely leans towards that, but as the story we get there, I think it's very well done, and they really get you invested in, like, the moments where Twilight, she's worried that her brother doesn't care about her as much at first, and then she discovers that that's not the case, that she does, but then you start to wonder if that's working. Well, they ask the question, is that working its way back in, when she starts to question Princess Cadence? All of her friends, they seem to really just want to eat this up, have their moment, and she's raining on the parade, essentially, and they have reason to think that she's maybe being a little bit too possessive of her brother, and she's quick to jump on this. She is, well, she was seeming like this before, but we see, though, that, I mean, it's a genuine concern, and she's trying to watch out for him, that she doesn't want him to end up with the wrong wife for the rest of his life. And I mean, you see the stuff she observes, it's actually, I was actually on her side for most of it, that, you don't let someone get away with something that's wrong because of their status when it's something this important. So, okay, and then, sure enough, it's very gratifying to see her proven right, and the princess, who, I'm not going to let off the hook for this because she completely disowned her earlier in the episode, but she tells her at the end that, okay, this is as much your victory as theirs. You showed us, you brought the real Cadence back to us, and you learned to trust your instincts, which is a very important lesson. So, I mean, that's all very satisfying. And then, plus that's the storytelling, how it progresses, and yeah, again, a lot of fun. But the individual moments, though, I had a lot of fun with too. Now, to get to those, well, like I said, part one is mostly set up, but okay, part two, we get first the chase, the race to get out of the cave, where they play this sort of duality song where evil Cadence is singing this cheesy, generic, delightfully generic, maniacal villain song, like, yeah, I have fooled them all, I do not love the groom, in my heart there is no room, whatever she said, just, all these lines, like, where she's, evil and loving it. I could care less about the dress, I won't partake in any cake, and then Princess Cadence, meanwhile, is singing just like how she's, so worried that she's going to lose her spouse-to-be, and I mean, it's, Princess Cadence, I think they find the right balance with her, too, like, she's not just generically lovey-dovey, inane, it's, it actually, I mean, here's the show turning gender on its head again. She sounds a little bit like, it's some of the stuff you'd hear the knight in shining armor say, off to rescue the damsel in distress. Well, that sounds almost too generic. It's, in a lot of, like, hero/romance stories, you see that just like the way that the hero cares about the spouse to be in distress and just is like worried about what they might lose if they don't succeed at their quest, and that's what some of what Princess Cadence says in her song reminds you of, like she's off to the rescue because of how much she genuinely cares about this guy. So, and she obviously only gets to have an assist. She plays her part, but it's just an assist. It's not like it's glaringly obvious that she is the knight in shining armor now. So it's just, okay, they're letting her have some of the same emotions, so, okay, there's that, but, okay, I got sidetracked there. I was going on about the moments, and then, yeah, the last obstacle in this cave, because it's kind of cool how Twilight and Princess Cadance are teaming up to get out of it, and then the last obstacle is the bridesmaids. We find out what happened to them. They're all under the Queen's spell, and they get rid of them by tossing the bouquet over the cliff, and the bridesmaids all dive after it, which, that's a very, I'm sure you've all seen that gag before, but it's a classic. You gotta love it. It's, that was a good moment. So, okay. There's that. There's the Queen defeating Princess Celestia. Like, Princess Celestia actually tries to fight for the kingdom this time. She doesn't just sit in the background and give directions. And and that's the other thing. The Queen is not sort of an end-up. It's the Queen and her army. They can be fought. You don't just need to find a Deus Ex Machina, but that's the thing. She'll beat you. She is just a little bit more powerful than the princess. So, okay, nobody in the room can stop her. So, there's that. And then there's the highlight, of course, with the gang fighting the changeling army. Very creative animation, just how the changelings, they turn into the main 6 characters and use that to their advantage. Like, Applejack is fighting her way through the crowd, and she sees Twilight seemingly fighting too, so they get back to back, and then the evil changeling, who's actually in the Twilight form, transforms back, reveals that Applejack has just got herself surrounded. There's that, but then there's also, like, Fluttershy, who knows nothing about fighting whatsoever. It is just trying to hide, but every time the Fluttershy changelings get near her, she just, like, puts on her mean face and pretends she's one of them, and then, she then gets surrounded, though, by a crowd of Rainbow Dash, and, Dashes, whatever, and, but just as they're about to lay into her, the real Rainbow Dash reveals that she's actually playing along, and then punches all of them out at the last second, so that's a lot of fun, and then also, though, as I said, Fluttershy may not know anything about fighting, but actually Rarity and Pinkie Pie, it turns out, do. Rarity has no problem hitting them with right crosses and such. Pinkie Pie breaks out the party cannon to blow them away, and uses Twilight as a cannon, so just a lot of fun there. That was, did not lose the tone of the show. It's not just like beat down violence, but it also didn't keep it, like, with padded gloves. Like, no, this is a fight. This is a creative, fun, energetic fight, but it's still a fight scene. So, but then they're surrounded by the changeling army, so that whole battle to defeat the Queen just comes to an end there. But okay, even so, and then the actual wedding, where of course everything is as it should be. This is, of course, it should be perfect, which is the one thing I kind of wish that Twilight had to at least confront a little bit, that Cadance is not the perfect bride. That, okay, you need to accept maybe how you're gonna differ a little bit, but of course, she loves every single thing about the wedding. The real Cadance. She is getting into everything, but that's one I can let go. That only so much fun time. So, all right, and then the wedding with complete with cameos, lots and lots of cameos. The Cutie Mark Crusaders are the Flower Girls. That Fancy Pants guy comes back and reunites with Rarity briefly. It seems like he's a lot older than she is. I don't know if that's supposed to be like Rarity has a love interest now, but okay, lots of stuff like that. And then the reception, and a lot of these cameos are at the reception, where they kick off the triumphant party song, and I am a sucker for those. I just like, the big celebration ending. The celebration song ending. Almost any time I like Grease, All Shook Up, that terrible musical that still ends with Burning Love, which is like, okay, I'll watch it just for that. That is a great song, great way to end it. Also, Lilo and Stitch ending with Burning Love too. That was a great moment. Burning Love in general, it's a great way to end movie or a story or something like that. But okay, regardless, or in SpongeBob where they actually defeat the villain with the ending party song. But okay, total sucker for it, and this is a very, very good one, because, I mean, a lot of times, these stories, they make the mistake of playing it like, okay, well, we got the fluffy stuff over with, now let's party, but, like, no, this does not change the mood. It's like, it's a party song, it's supposed to be fun, but it still sort of holds that sweet tone, that sweet sort of note that we were on from, getting our happy ending with the wedding and everything. It still maintains that. It's, I'm not going to try to sing it. I already did a bad enough job with the song that was supposed to be a little silly and cheesy, but no, okay, it's just, I don't know. Twilight, and you know what? I'm going to put it in this video. That's the celebration marker here of the big finale. But anyway, though, so let's see. There was, yeah, then they, even as the song's going on, they fit in more great moments, like Rarity shoving the bridesmaids out of the way to be the one to catch the bouquet, and Shining Armor personally thanking Twilight, that, like, sort of reaffirming without needing to directly take back what he said before, that, yeah, you're a great sister, this was all because of you, I love you, Twilight. That's what he said, and it just works so well. So, I mean, this is like the mother of all happy endings for this show, and in fact, part 2, I think, the episode part 2 of this one is probably just my favorite episode so far, period. I really liked it, really had a good time.
Which brings me to this show's standing so far, the next progress report. I think I said somewhere before that I didn't think this show had a way to hook fans as much as shows with more continuity, more ongoing story arcs, that sort of stuff. The Avatar, Star Trek, Doctor Who, whatever. But even some other anime shows. But actually, though, I think it's starting to sort of show that it does have one way to hook people in, one thing to get people invested in over several episodes, which is the progress of the characters. You can see ways that they do sort of grow and change, and they do give you more about them, and you do just sort of start to fall for them and, like, feel for them a little bit more bit by bit. And I think this episode in particular with, Twilight and just the sort of progress with her so far, I mean, it's a lot of heart to it, and so yeah, I think I'm kind of starting to realize that, yeah, darn it, softy, the characters are growing on me. They are starting to, I mean, I'm starting to just get into what they're like, what they do, hoping to see this or that from them, and I mean, and the team's still going above and beyond and finding creative things, just little extra creative touches, like what they're at the wedding, the real wedding, and Applejack sees Rarity is looking away, so she, in her Rarity-made dress, slips on her cowgirl hat, so just, yeah, stuff like that. It's lots of little moments that, I mean, you can tell the team is really invested in spinning these characters, and they want you to be. So, I mean, there's that, and I mean, yeah, I started out, like I said, reviewing this show. I never seriously considered the possibility that I would become a fan. Like, I thought, at most, because, I mean, you see a lot of genres when, even to the extent that I'm a critic with little amateur blog series and these videos and stuff, you see a lot of different genres, and, you give a lot of thumbs up. You should be able to enjoy every genre for what it is, and I mean, that's, yeah, you give a lot of thumbs up saying that, yeah, you've enjoyed it, that it's great for people who like this kind of thing, but I mean, I didn't I mean, like I said, this is no exception, the sort of character-driven, anime-esque stories with, some action, some fantasy, but also character focus. Yeah, I'm no, I like that as much as the next genre, but I mean, I don't think that I'm that's not one that I'm really particularly drawn to. Like, I mean, I'm at just about every comic book movie, or, the even if it's a superhero I've only heard of in passing, like just a little bit slightly positive word of mouth is really all I need. I mean, I can be a fan of stuff like that just fine. This stuff, I mean, usually not as a genre, but I mean, sometimes if it's done really well, like I will become a fan of directors who are really good at this kind of stuff. I mean, I'm a huge Miyazaki fan. He's made a couple of my all-time favorite movies. I did not think that this was going to be the case here, but I mean, like, as of now, you know, I sort of feel like I don't know, it's like, you feel it, like it has that arrow in you. I am sort of more drawn to it. I'm appreciating the little touches more and more, so I mean, the next step into becoming a fan, I mean, if it keeps going at this rate, who knows, you know, stranger things have happened. And so with that, we come to the infamous Season 3, so I'll be looking forward to it. Come back next time for the Crystal Empire. I'll see you there.